What's up guys, in today's video we're going to show you guys how to register for a eigenlayer operator as well as a validator for eigenlayer. The reason I'm making this video is that there is a potential opportunity for a airdrop and there are no guides out there on YouTube and I'm getting a lot of questions on it, so I thought I'd go ahead and make a guide to show you guys how to do this. The first thing you're going to need is a VPS. I recommend using Contabo because it's the cheapest, but this is the one that you will need. You will need up to 400 gigabytes. This is perfect for this type of node. All you would do is hit select and just fill out the different items. I would recommend doing like a 3 to 6 month term. The reason being, not for a full year, is because like if it goes bear market, then like why are you even running if you're airdrop farming, of course, why are you even running a node during a bear? They don't do airdrops in it. But anyways, do like a 3-month plan, 3 to 6 months. That way, if the market keeps going bull, you can extend it out, whatever. Choose your particular region. Just go with the free one. It's cheap, like free. Come on, guys. We're trying to stay cost effective. And look for the storage type. Do 400 gigs. It's the one that's included. This step is really important right here. Make sure you stick with Ubuntu. Make sure it's 20.04. Don't mess with any of these settings. Just keep this one. Ubuntu is the one to go. Root is going to be your username. You don't have to remember this, but if you're that type of dude who wants to, go ahead and write it down and remember it because you will need this. And then generate your password or make your own password. You're going to need this for your SSH client, and I'll show you guys that later in the video. Generate your password. You can make it just password, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Well, actually, it does matter. Use a secure password. Use what you want for that. So that's step one. Step two is we're going to need a SSH client. I'm on a Mac. I like to use the Terminus. I'll leave a link in the description below for that as well if you guys want to check that out. But if you are on a Microsoft, Putty works really well, but this is basically going to be the guide for Mac. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and select a new host. I already have some registered, and this is where you're going to enter the IP address. This is the one that you would have gotten emailed. It'll be like a 1.3.4. I don't know. It'll just be like an IP address. So that will be in your email, and that's what you enter here. Next, on the username, this is going to be root. So root, remember the words that I told you to remember. You're going to put that there. And then as for the password, you're just simply going to enter in the password you put on your VPS, which is on Contabo. Okay, we got our SSH command client downloaded. We have our Contabo account set up, and now we need to set up a Alchemy account. Simply all you got to do, it's actually really easy. You just enter your email, make up a password, whatever, and then boom, you got an Alchemy account. Now what we need to do is go ahead and go to all the apps we have on our Alchemy account, and then we go ahead and create an app. It's very important you enter the correct information on this. If you do the wrong stuff, you're going to get completely roasted and get a lot of errors. On the Alchemy dashboard, these are the exact things you put in. Ethereum, Ethereum Golyri, and eigenlayer dash. So what we're going to do is go to Ethereum Golyri, make sure you do Golyri because we're on the test net, and then we're going to do eigenlayer dash. You can do dash one, whatever. But eigenlayer dash, and that's all we're going to enter. You can see here this is the full step, and we're going to hit create app. This will give our API keys that we will need, as well as the WebSocket and the HTTPS. So we'll go ahead and save this for later, but this is basically the information that you're going to need. So this is where we're going to go to our VPS or our terminal and connect it to our VPS, and we're going to go ahead and start entering some information. So these are different commands that we are going to enter. So I have two screens open so you guys can see this. Well, we're going to simply copy these different commands. So command one we're going to enter is going to be sudo apt-get update, and we'll hit enter. This computer is really slow, so I'm going to exit my face off of the screen so we can speed this up. All right, so enter that, and it's going to do a bunch of stuff. Next, we're going to go ahead and get that next command while it's doing its thing, and sudo apt install docker.io. So while this stuff is installing, sometimes it takes a minute, sometimes it takes a few seconds, depending on your computer processing speed and what is downloading. Okay, so your screen will be a little bit different than mine because I already have Docker uploaded. We already did the sudo git apt update, whatever. So now we're going to go ahead and do sudo apt install Docker, hit enter, and we're going to get this information. Sometimes you get these errors, sometimes you can ignore them, sometimes you can't, but we are going to proceed. I believe it should be okay because it worked for me previously, but if you ever run into any errors, ChatGPT is a really good helper for this. But we entered the Docker version, and now we're going to go ahead and install Docker Compose. So we hit enter, and we got our gig. Then we're going to do the next sudo command. I'll leave a link in the description below with all these different commands so you guys can check it out. We'll enter that, and then we'll do Docker Compose version, and then we get our version here. Next, we're going to go ahead and download or install the Go language, and we get this. It'll look something like this, and you should be good with that. Next, we're going to extract our folder with the tar-c. We hit enter, and we go ahead and do export path. Once we get this eigenlayer set up, export path, and then we're going to get the next command, which is the Go version. Hit enter, and this is our current Go version. This is through Linux. Now we're going to go ahead and clone the eigenlayer GitHub, and we're going to go ahead and hit paste, enter, and it will do its noodle or think, whatever. And it takes some time. And we'll go ahead and copy the next command and wait for it to load. All right, load it up. Let's go ahead and enter the command. Go ahead and copy the file. I already have it downloaded, so yours might take a little bit longer because you have to download a lot of stuff. It'll look something like this, or it'll say downloading, downloading. Mine's already downloaded, so you don't see that stuff here. But you will need to do that and then copy that to your file. I copied it to my file, so we're good to go. Now to verify that it's properly installed, you can enter eigenlayer and it will show something like this. That means you're good to go. Next, we're going to go ahead and create our private keys. Guys, this is super important. So you're going to copy this section right here, eigenlayer operator keys, and you're going to hit enter. This is going to be your private keys. Of course, I didn't change my name, so I need to go ahead and change this. One thing that's really cool to use is Visual Studio Code. So once I go to Visual Studio Code, I'm going to type Drake on digital. Or no, we'll just do something random because that's my other one. Let's do YouTube. So we're going to call it YouTube. No spaces. And we're going to go ahead and copy that. So as you can see here, you replace your name that we're going to go ahead and give to our keys. So let's do this again. Boom. Now it's asking to enter a password. Make sure you don't tell your password to anyone, but my password is going to be password. Oh, well, I guess it's insecure. So we got to think of a good one. How about we do something that I can't remember, something that I can remember. We'll do YouTube 1. And then we'll do capital Y. So Y-O-U. Okay, it took that password. Great. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and create our keys. So we're going to do this same file here. We're going to open up something called Visual Studio Code again. I like Visual Studio Code because I can just copy and paste this stuff and then I can visit this stuff later. But get rid of the brackets and then we're going to hit YouTube. That's what we called the previous one. So we're going to go ahead and call this YouTube again. So then we go back to this. This is our public key and our private key. We should probably keep this. I'll go ahead and keep this information. So I'll paste this here and then I'll go ahead and copy this. Obviously you probably don't want to do what I'm doing now, but this is just like a YouTube video. So guys, don't hack me, please. Don't take my money. But there's the public key, Ethereum address, etc. We're just going to go ahead and save this for later. Guys, don't do this. This is just for this demonstration so you guys have this. And plus, this is on testnet, so it's not like we're sending funds to this wallet. Now that we got our private keys stored in a safe place, we got that information. The next thing to do is encrypt this with a password. Go ahead and enter the password that you want to use. Use something special that nobody can guess. So we encrypted it, and boom, it loaded. So we are going to need to copy this information as well, the BLS private key. Make sure you copy this because you're going to need to upload this later to your MetaMask. So we're going to go ahead and open up Visual Studio Code again, and I'm just going to go ahead and save it in this. Guys, this is just for this demonstration. Like, cut me some slack. Next, you can enter the eigenlayer operator key list to see what you did, but you can see I made a bunch of them. I was going ham, just testing it out and playing around with it. But this is the next step for eigenlayer is you need to go to your MetaMask and import your private key. So the private key of your ECDSA wallet. So the ECDSA wallet, if you go to your private key, is going to be this one. So this key type, that's the one that you want to look for. So enter your password to encrypt the private key. So ECDSA private key. This is your private key. This is what you upload into MetaMask in order to get your new wallet. So you literally just import your private key onto MetaMask and you're good to go. Now, next thing we're going to need to do is configure our YAML file. You need to follow these exact formats right here. So I'm going to copy this whole entire thing. Of course, it's going to be funky. I also shared it on the tweet, so you guys have all that there. And then we're going to go to Visual Studio Code, open up a couple lines, and paste. This is important that we get our API key from Alchemy. So if you remember the API Alchemy key, what we're going to do is we're going to simply go over. So now we need to go ahead and fill in all this information. First thing is the address of our wallet. To get this address, this is going to be inside our YouTube wallet. So go to YouTube. Our public key is this. If you remember, we scroll up, we go to our ESDA private key, public key, Ethereum address. So this is our Ethereum address right here. This is the address that we copied. So we're going to go ahead and go here, and we're going to erase our address of our wallet. If you remember the text above right here, we literally just copied what it was like when it generated our private keys and all kinds of jazz in the code above. So that is the section you're going to put in the address of your wallet. So we're going to go ahead and erase this and erase this. Make sure you get rid of all the brackets and we're good to go. Now we need to go ahead and get our metadata file raw. You're going to need a GitHub account for this. So that was one other thing I forgot to mention. So you're going to need to go to GitHub, log in, and create a raw file. So inside my GitHub, I'm going to create a new repository. I already created an account, but basically once you log in, I'll expand the screen so you guys can see a little more. What we're going to do is create a repository and call it eigenlayer. I already have one in my account, so it's a little bit harder to do, so we'll just call it eigenlayer 1. But you just want to call it eigenlayer. This is important. Make sure you make this one public. If you do it private, it will not work. Trust me, I've done it the wrong way. I've made it private, and you get a lot of error codes. This will save you a headache. Just do public. Trust me on this. We're going to go ahead and create this repository. We click create, and then we're going to scroll down. This is where we create a new file. Create the new file, and we're going to enter the code. The code that we need to enter is going to look like this. Your name, operator name, website, your website, description, etc. So it'll look something like this for me. God-fearing DeFi Degen, the website's YouTube, but this one is the same as my other stuff, so I probably need to change it just a tad. So we'll just do YouTube, whatever, so it at least has a link. And then, yeah, we'll just leave this logo. If you want to get a logo and so you don't get an error code like mine's literally just a node. I don't even know, the picture didn't go through, but it's up. It's up. That's the important thing. You can fix the logo that way. But going back to our GitHub file, then you go ahead and enter your Twitter account. I'll change this to something else. Then we want to go ahead and name our file. We're going to call it metadata.json. Then we're going to go ahead and hit commit changes. Commit changes, and we're good to go. We created our GitHub file, and then we go to metadata.json. Once you go over here to the raw file, this is where you're going to get the link to it. So you can click here, and it will take you to a link to copy. You copy the URL above, and then you are going to enter this for your metadata file raw. It'll look something like this. If you have like a token that's over here, that's because you made it a private file. It needs to be public or you'll have a lot of errors. Don't touch the slasher. Don't touch this section here. And next we're going to need our API from Alchemy. Where we are going to get this is on our Alchemy dashboard. You go to your Alchemy dashboard. This is under Eigenlayer. If you guys remember, we created this at the beginning of the video. This is where we are going to get our APIs. So you click on the API key. We're going to need the HTTPS. Copy this. Now we go back to our Visual Studio Code and we're going to get rid of this jazz and we're going to enter this in there. It should look something like that. Okay, so we entered all that in and now we need to change our name key. I'm going to change this to YouTube. That's what we named it. So call it YouTube. Then we go here, backspace, YouTube, and YouTube is what it is. Now we got all this information. We put it in our Visual Studio Code. We're going to copy all of this. Well, actually, just highlight it because we're going to have to copy some other commands first. So we need to configure our YAML file, which is this whole thing that we just created here. We now need to input this into the code. So to do this, we need to open up the folder. The command that we just entered, which is cd cli/operator ... This opens up that folder. So now we're inside this folder. Now we need to go ahead and touch operator command. So we can go ahead and get that open and we're ready to go. Now we're going to hit nano operator config.yml. Now we're in this file. It'll be a blank screen like this. Remember, we need to copy this stuff right here, which is our YAML stuff, and we'll paste it into terminal. Now we're going to hit Control X. This will allow you to exit the screen, and we want to save this modifier. You may just need to hit Command X or Control X. I don't have a Microsoft, so just the exit function. And then you will hit yes. So we're going to hit yes, and then once we do that, we hit return or enter. That entered that information now. So our nano configure YML, whatever, is already in. Now we need to go ahead and register this. So if we go to eigenlayer operator register operator configure YML, we're going to enter this command. Now it says, okay, validated operator, validated successfully. So now we need to go ahead and enter those private keys that we entered. Remember, this was, or the password that we entered that was quote unquote safe. When we tried to enter password and it didn't work and we just made up a new one, that's the password you're going to enter in now. Then it's going to ask for your BLS private key. This is the password that you also enter in. So I did have some errors, and hey, it is what it is. I have fat fingers and it does its thing. But going back to the Visual Studio Code, I noticed that I had an error on this root.eigenlayer, etc. Basically what you can do is you can just copy and paste where you got your key locations here to make sure you aren't fat fingering anything like I did. Obviously I did, so it wasn't registering. So now you can see I was able to finally successfully register it, but I ran into another issue, which I'm glad I did. So I'm sure other people will run into this as well, but it says insufficient funds for transfer. You need to make sure you have some GETH in your wallet. So those private keys that we just got, we're going to go and upload these to our MetaMask. We imported our private key into our MetaMask, and now we have this wallet right here. We're going to need to get some GETH. There's a couple of ways that you can do this, but the easiest one, in my opinion, is to just use the Goleri bridge. You're either going to need some ETH on mainnet, on Optimism, Arbitrum, or whatever. And basically how this would work is, let's say I wanted to swap 1 ETH on Optimism to Goleri, it will allow me to do that. Now, depending on what your goals are and what you're trying to do is going to determine how much GETH you want to get. If you're trying to run a validator right now, you have to have about 10,000 GETH. So it's going to set you back, what, I don't know, half an ETH if you're wanting to do that. But if you simply just want to get an operator up, you can just bridge over like 0.001 ETH. All right, so now we got some GETH in our wallet. As you can see, load. Okay, so we got some Goleri ETH. Now what we can do, actually there's a couple of things. Our node, we need to register this first. So what we're going to do is go back to the command interface where we had the insufficient funds, and we're going to go ahead and register this. So let's register this operator and enter the key information. Boom. Password. Boom. And info. We're solid, guys. The gas covered it. Cool. So I need to remember this password. What was it? Yeah, so we're registering our node right now. This takes some time to show up on eigenlayer, but basically once you get it, you're up, and this is our operator, and it's still loading. Okay, so it should be done. I don't know what ours was called. I think it was called YouTube or something. So what you can do is go to operator. Oh, by the way, this is Drake. If you guys want to or allow me to make part 2 of this video, delegate some ETH to me so I can do part 2. Right now, the not the floor, but the top 200 are only able to be validators on eigenlayer. So the top 200 right now is like 10k GETH, which is about half an ETH. So if you guys are wanting to take on that challenge, you can do that. So right now, yeah, this is kind of the top one. But basically, if you go over to this and you see how much it is to bridge over, you can see here, if we wanted to bridge 1 ETH on Arbitrum to go Leary, yeah, that would be well sufficient. But if you're willing to bridge over 1 ETH, sure, you can get some GETH. It's basically just test tokens, but some people find demand, some don't. But after you get those tokens, if you are wanting to do the node, you just need the gas in your wallet. But if you are wanting to delegate to me, you would need to swap this into some staked ETH. So you would determine how much you want, and then you would just come over here. It doesn't cost you anything. Like, you literally just delegate. So once you go under the operator to Drake or to anyone that you make, you just hit delegate. So you still have the tokens in your wallet. You're just delegating your stake. That's all you're doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if ours is registered. Me just kind of ranting and talking should have given it enough time to register. So we're going to go ahead and refresh the page, and then we're going to go ahead and type in YouTube. Let's see if YouTube shows up. Enter, and of course it doesn't show up, so we're going to search this by the wallet address because it's just what we're going to do. And of course we're still not registered. So we'll come back in like 10 minutes and see if we get registered. Okay, we entered the address and we are in YouTube. Here it is. Okay, so we are registered. Now, if you want to up the ante and get a little bit spicy, this is going to go into the next step. No, I personally have not done this, but again, if you want to delegate to Drake, which is over here, and if we get above the threshold, I will go ahead and drop part 2 of the video and go ahead and get that out. But again, in order to be a validator, I do need to be in the top 200. So this is basically a moving target. So if you go to ascending, so you can see what it is. Currently the target is 9,200 ETH. Yeah. But anyways, going back to part 2 of the video, let's go ahead and walk you guys through this so you guys can do this yourself. Now, of course, the question constantly comes out like, hey, are they going to give an airdrop if you don't run a node? Well, if they are going to give an airdrop, me personally, I do think they are going to reward the people that do or did register an operator, because I feel like if they only rewarded the top 200, that would be kind of a tall or a smaller airdrop. But I do think if they do airdrop, again, this is speculation, guys. This is not guaranteed. If they do airdrop, then it's likely that they will reward the validators more heavily. So if you're willing to shell out the additional capital to bridge over, it's actually not additional capital. You're just buying GETH in that case. And going over and running a validator, you can do that. Now keep in mind, when you're running a validator, you have to stay in the top 200. So again, this is going to be a moving target. So it's entirely up to you what you want to do. So this guide right here, it does says rank among the top 120. It's actually the top 200. But in order to bridge some additional funds over, you can use the testnet bridge. It's this bridge that kind of looks like layer 0. This is where you can bridge additional ETH over. And then once you get that GETH over, then you can go ham. These are going to be the different commands that you enter in. You're literally going to copy these because we need to download this repository. Mine, I will be unable to register, so I'm not really going to be able to show you guys this step by step, but you would basically just paste the information in and it would download this data. So you can see it's downloading the repository, and now I need to do Eigen operator setup. That, and then we do nano EV. Hit this, and then it's going to ask for this file. You're going to need to edit this env file right here. So you're going to enter this information exactly how it's needed. So the IP of your node, it's basically going to be your IP address that you get from Contabo that we got in the beginning. Of course, I'm glitching out trying to copy, but let's go to our Visual Studio Code and get typing. So we're going to go over here and let's see what we got. First things first is you'll need to modify all these different paths between the brackets. So we're going to create our eigenlayer folder. Before we do the eigenlayer folder, we need to fill in all this information here. So if you scroll up your IP, this is going to be your Contabo IP address. That's what you put in there. Next, you're going to need a key API in order to point for a chain RPC. You can grab this from your Alchemy account and then post this in there. Next, we need to go ahead and see we changed the wallet name. So this is going to be, of course, the name that we had. So if you remember, we went above. Our wallet name is YouTube because that's what we made it, but set it up to whatever your wallet is. Then we are going to need to set up our password. So enter the password to decrypt your private keys. So whatever your password is, those are the private keys that you are going to, or not private keys, that is the password that you're going to enter. And now we go ahead and create our eigenlayer node. And of course we run into this step where I can't complete with you guys, but I will run through the steps so you guys can do this yourself. You need to have or be in the top 200. Currently, it says 120 on this article, but it's actually the top 200. You can get more on the Tapio DEX, which is this right here. You can swap some ETH into GETH or SDETH that you can then run and put on your operator. So once your operator has enough delegated ETH in the top 200, then we can go ahead and run this script. I'm going to get an error code on this script, but we're going to show you what it looks like anyways and hit enter. But we're going to go ahead and copy this command right here, hit enter. This will open up the file so we can get into it. And then we're going to run sh opt in, and it's not going to allow us to do it because we don't have enough. It will let you in and it will say something like this when you are in it. It'll say plugin configs flags parse da 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 da, and basically it means like you're in the gates. And then we're going to copy docker compose up, and then we're going to enter this in there, and then it will give us the additional commands. They will not look like this. We did not make it, so it will look something more like this. Node API server running, store batch, da 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 da. And once you get your validator node up, it will now show up in the AVS operators, which then you'll be able to see it on this section right here, which you go over to AVS. Like we saw on YouTube, it took some time to load, but again, it will show up under the AVS and you'll be in the top 200 and being one of the node operators. Now, there are updates that do happen, so you do need to make sure you're updating your node from time to time. If you let it go out of date, it will not continue to process blocks. So you need to make sure you're staying up to date and staying in the top 200. Yes, this is kind of like a baby. You have to tend to it and you need to make sure it's doing its thing. And these are the different commands that you can do this. I'll leave this in the link in the description below. This is from Breeze Node. He makes some really good articles on this. So if you guys want to check him out on Twitter, you can. He doesn't speak full English well, but he makes some good articles. So if you do speak French, he makes really good French articles. I'll leave all the links in the description below so you guys can check it out, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helped allowing you to set up a node. And again, if you guys would like to see more of this node content, drop a comment in the description below and I'll start making some more node videos so you guys can follow along. And if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell me what you guys think of the video. And if you guys want to join the exclusive Discord, there's a link in the description below. Yes, we do talk things nodes. We are setting up some other ones as well, and if you do have some questions or need some help with it, I'll try to help as much as I can. I am not the best at coding. I'm learning as much as I can, and I'm sharing the information with you guys as I go. Also in the Discord, I do share what I'm doing in the market, so if you would like to see that, there's the link in the description below. Proverbs chapter 17, verses 15. Acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent. The Lord detests them both. Be good, be righteous. Peace. And one other thing I didn't mention is this really helps. Just use ChatGPT. If you ever run into any errors, just copy that whole code section, paste it in ChatGPT and be like, bro, what happened? Hey, can you help me? What did I do wrong? And it'll give you a couple of other commands that you can try. Hope it helps. Happy node running.